It has been for decades, perhaps even generations, one of, if not the most frightening words a doctor can say to a patient: cancer. And there perhaps is no other disease where a cure is so chased after. Finding one might rank as the greatest medical discovery of all time. And there is again a chance, just a chance, we could be on the right track to obliterating this insidious disease. So let's welcome back to MidPoint the Newsmax deputy health editor, also co-author of the must-have book for everyone of every age, the DaVinci Baby Boomer Survival Guide. Nick Tate joins us in the studio. Good to see you again, my friend.
You too.
This caught my eye, so many others, a Chinese study that would mark the first time they can look at the DNA in an embryo and make changes. You stop right there, but then you realize it's only the beginning.
It is only the beginning. In fact, this study is highly anticipated. Scientists around the world are watching for it to be published. It has not been published. The study has not been published yet. But what they've been able to do is modify the DNA in an embryo such that it not only changes the nature of the way that embryo would develop, but it could continue on in future generations. The embryo, if it were to develop, become a person, the person would then pass on these DNA changes to offspring. So theoretically, you could manipulate it so that you could have essentially an immunity to cancer or heart disease or diabetes that's genetically made in an embryo that passes on through generations. Now, a lot of gene therapy to this point has really focused on treating individual patients. So there are changes in your genes that allow you to fight cancer, heart disease, diabetes, melanoma, ALS are some where they've had some success. But it doesn't pass on to your children or your grandchildren. The big change here with this Chinese research is they may have figured out a way to make that happen for future generations as well.
I don't want to make this sound like it's just, oh, it's another wonderful medical, let's move on, kind of cure things. But when you think about it, isn't this a logical step, though, where we're going with all of the DNA testing and all of the manipulation we're doing? This is the next logical.
It is absolutely a milestone. Easy, then we'd all say yes, we'd be rejoicing, we'd be celebrating, the war on cancer is over, and we've won. The problem is that there are concerns that those DNA changes could introduce unintended consequences that might not be available for years to come. There is also the possibility, for instance, we might be developing other kinds of diseases we might be more vulnerable to because of the changes in the DNA. We just don't know.
Would it be possible in our DNA that while you're looking at something that may trigger a cancer gene, that in the backside of this, it may actually prevent something else from triggering along the DNA chain?
Precisely. I mean, genes usually work in concert with other genes. There are thousands of genes that are believed to be connected with cancer and other diseases. So if you tweak one, you turn this light on or this light off, it might set off a chain of things to happen, a cascade that might be problematic, and we don't know yet. The other concern, of course, is the whole question about designer babies. Are we going to be empowering parents to design their children to have certain traits that go beyond disease and cancer? I would remind you, though, that there are very few medical technology advances that are made like this that don't come with these kinds of ethical dilemmas and these difficult, confounding questions. If we think about the first test tube babies back in the 70s, we don't even use that phrase anymore because it's considered politically incorrect. But parents who were able, through in vitro fertilization, to choose certain traits, there were wide questions about that then, and now it's done so frequently that insurance covers it. If we look at cloning, if we look at other genetic techniques, which really are the leading edge in cancer research and development. There are also controversies there, but it seems to me we need to get the study published so scientists can read it, so the public can read what's there, and see what the prospects are for a real promise for a cancer cure.
15 seconds, not been published. We're still looking at, what, 10 years plus?
I think probably we'll see this paper published in the next year or two.
But as far as the research concerns and moving ahead and getting to that point, we're
Sadly, many years, I would say, before we see some practical applications, yeah. But worth watching, worth watching.
It's worth watching when you think about it, because simply, and I noticed how everybody on this one was really cautious about using the other C word, which is cure.
Yes.
They did not want to say that out loud.
Not yet.
A reminder of everybody, make sure that you get yourself a copy of the DaVinci Baby Boomer Survival Guide. Go to babyboomers711.com. Get it now. It is an outstanding way to get ready for the next phase of life. Thank you very much, Nick Tate.
Thank you,
always,
sir.
my friend. Two highly publicized trials heading for verdicts, and one that some see may even be an acquittal. We'll deal with that and more when MidPoint continues.